Good morning, everyone. Look at this. Someone gifted me this little hot shoe blocker that's 3D printed in orange, and it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, welcome to the gifting season. Welcome to the sales season. I don't know what you want to call it, but today I want to talk to you about 3 things you can buy. I know there's a lot of buying things happening right now to actually improve your photography for real, and they don't have to be a lens or a camera. And secondly, that could also get you out of a creative funk. Let me know how the transition of season goes for you in the comments right now. Are you more inspired to go shoot? Do you spend more time outside shooting when it comes to winter? Or are you actually staying home more and you feel like you can't shoot as much? Maybe you're in Chicago, it's so cold, it's kind of hard to shoot. So hopefully what I'm gonna share with you is gonna help you improve and also maybe get more creative or get out there and shoot a little more. So if you're ready, why don't we start with number 1? Print your damn photos, guys. Let's go. Photos are not meant to be living just on a phone or on a hard drive. They're supposed to live in the real world. I want you to print your photos, and there's tons of reasons for that, and I'm gonna tell you in just a second why I actually suggest specific techniques to photographers when I coach them one-on-one to improve their photography through printing. And I'll give you a few tips as how to print too. This video is made in partnership with Whitewall. Whitewall is an awesome printing company that I've been using for years, and that has been a partner on the French channel also for years. So all those prints have been made with Whitewalls. The big print that you see behind me is a print for a client, and it was also printed with Whitewall. I print tons of jobs and my friends also through Whitewall. They're awesome. They've got great quality, and there is also a little 10% discount for you guys in this video. But let's get to the subject. Why should you print your photos? The most important aspect, in my opinion, is to actually print photos and to analyze them. The moment you're going to be printing your photos, you're going to spend a lot more time looking exactly at how you took that photo. Is there any details that are missing or that are too much in that image? Is there something in the sky that's not cleaned up? Is there a piece of foliage that should be removed? You're gonna be looking at all those details 100 times more when you're about to print it, because there is also value tied to it, meaning money and time that you're gonna spend doing that, and you don't want to be reprinting tomorrow. And so you pay a lot more attention to those details, and that is crucial when you're photographers to be able to train your eye to do that. So I recommend to everyone to print their photos. I literally had someone I was coaching, and I told him, look, take your photos, print about 100 of them. You can print them small or big, it doesn't matter, and then place them on the floor and look at them. I want you to look at all of them and see which ones jump to your eyes instantly when you're looking at them in the real world, not just when you're looking at them on the screen. And that trains us not only in the process of editing and cleaning up an image, but also when we'll be on the shoot, on location, we'll think about our prints and how maybe we want to display some elements. So it's extremely important for me in my process, in my photography, to print my work, because I have clients buying it, but also because I do it for myself. So how should you print it? First of all, if you know you're gonna hang it on the wall, I highly recommend acrylic prints under acrylics. It's beautiful. It has a lot of colors coming out. It gives a little bit of depth with the acrylic glass. This is usually what my clients order. Those are pieces you want to cherish and put on your wall. And the same would go for the fine art prints with a frame. So for example, the ones you see over here are framed under glass with nice wood. Make sure you print on a fine art paper, and I'll get to that in a second and give you a few recommendations, because those prints will last a lot longer than the regular cheap photo paper. Whitewall has really good options for that, so I'll let you discover that. But that is essential. If you're going to print something on display, you want to make sure you invest in the best quality possible of not only the pigments used, but also the paper that will be used, because you don't want it to wash out or fade away after 2 days. Second option I recommend, if you're not sure if you're gonna frame them yet, and maybe you want to keep it as an option for later, just print them as fine art prints just like that on different types of paper. It will give you an idea also of the shots. Personally, in terms of paper, I love fine art paper, Hahnemühle, fine art Barita, William Turner, beautiful, beautiful papers with a little bit of grain, but you can see the depth of the blacks in those photos just comes out really beautiful versus a more classic photo paper, which can be great, but it's a little more glossy, it's gonna have more reflection, and it just doesn't feel the same. This feels almost like a painting in a way when you get it. So highly recommend you to go for those kind of prints. And in terms of size, it's gonna vary. If you're printing a lot, maybe print them small, or if you're not sure of the effect it's gonna have, print a few small and then look at them and go back and print it in big. Okay, so very important to have that option and to be able to see them in different displays, in my opinion. Now, a quick tip when you're going to be printing, a lot of people ask me that. The first tip is bring your screen to the max brightness and then reduce it to 20-30% of its max brightness. Why? Because on paper, everything looks always darker than on your screen. And if you're worried that you don't have the resolution enough, I would just like to remind you that this photo right here was printed from a phone photo, a Pixel 4 back then in 2018, 2019. So please, there's no excuse. This can be absolutely done with any kind of photos. You can do it. So check out the link in the description for a discount code to Whitewall, and remember, print your images. All right, now number 2, we have a beautiful disposable camera. Ooh yeah, there's a reason I'm suggesting this, and this is literally what I suggest everyone to buy. A disposable camera. Maybe there's more sustainable if you can find a really cheap film camera. It can help you a lot, but you're going to be able to take photos differently, and you're going to train your brain to think differently before you take the photos. That's where it's so important. I've used disposable cameras since I'm, I don't know, 3 years old, something like that, and they've been with me my whole life. Lately, they've come back even more. There's a few aspects in which disposable camera will help you train your brain to compose and think about a situation differently, because you can't see anything. The only thing you can see is literally in that tiny little square, and you're not sure exactly of the angle you're gonna capture. You know, nowadays with mirrorless, we know exactly what we're gonna capture. It's super helpful, but sometimes it may have you rely too much on what you're seeing on the screen versus following your intuition of a situation, of a scene, especially in street photography. So when you're using that, you have to think with your mind. You can't use your camera as a crutch, okay? So you have to think, what kind of light do I have? What kind of background? Because this is like f11. So you're gonna have lots of depth of field with those images. And most importantly, you can't review the images. So you have to kind of make sure you're going for the right shot every time. And that trains you in a beautiful way as a photographer. It makes you shoot less, but more intentionally. And sometimes that's all we need, you know, to practice that part of the art versus the spray and pray part, which we all love to spray and pray, but intentional shooting with the limited amount of photos is beautiful. So I don't have specific recommendations of brands. There's Fuji and there's Kodak. You can grab whichever. You can get 2-pack for about $25 or maybe even less on Amazon, or 3-pack. And it also ties back to printing your images, because once you're gonna get those developed, you're gonna see your images printed or in scans. But I highly recommend you to get it printed so you can see how it feels to have it in your hand. This is such an underrated tool for photographers, because training your mind is one of the most important exercises that you will ever do as a photographer. Remember, this is literally what I focus on in the 30-day Advent to do great photos, is changing how you visualize, see, and capture photos so that you can shoot great photos no matter what kind of gear you're using. If you want to invest in the training, invest in it right now. I think there might be a little special going on. Check the link in the description. And the third and most important thing is to get broken filters. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to break it, but I'm telling you, filters is going to change your photography in terms of creativity. You'll be able to get a lot more creative shots. You might have seen it around the different videos. Those filters will help you play in a different way with your photography. And if you've been ever bored, this is a great way to like reignite a little bit what you're shooting. Let me give you the top 3 filters I would get right now, and there's probably some Black Friday or like some end of the year offers, so please check it out. First and foremost, we're gonna have the very well-known black mist filter that just adds a little softness to all your photos. And with this Christmas season, with all that coming up, this is great because it's gonna add a little fuzz around all those lights. It's gonna make it a little dreamy, fairy tale like. Then second of all, we're gonna have the streak filters that I think are really cool. I shot with it the other day. I was impressed. There's different types of streak filters. I had the orange and the blue one, and they give you lines, and at night with the bokeh it gets interesting. There's tons of options. Highly recommend you to try them once. They're not too expensive. It's gonna make your photography fun when you're gonna go out there and shoot. Number 3 and 4, I would say I'm gonna group them, are gonna be the classic ones, like the ND filter, which allows you to reduce your exposure, so keep the same aperture and maybe drag your shutter speed in daytime to get some panic shots in daytime or long exposure at the beach in a stream. That's cool. And the second one are gonna be polarizing filters, like all-time classics. Always need those two in a bag, in my opinion. And the 8, I use it for video mainly, but can also help me maybe at a sunset or before sunset to drag the shutter just enough without having to have my aperture at f8 if I'm doing a panning shot. I'll put a link in the description with different options. All right, to recap, get better by printing your photos. Number 1, okay, it's gonna change how you perceive your photography, how you think about things. Second, get a disposable camera. Train your brain before you take photos without reviewing anything. And third, creative filters will help you get out of your funk and also see things differently and kind of improve that aspect of creativity and having fun, because having fun and creativity goes hand in hand together. Last but not least, before you buy a camera, before you buy a lens, please make sure you've bought courses and that you've invested in your skills. Super important. You don't go buy a race car without having learned to drive. Why would you do that with photography? 30-day Advent to do great photos is for you. Link in the description. Now let me express my gratitude for you being here and watches this long. I'm sending you and your family lots of love. We also have a trip to Japan coming up. I think you'll enjoy it. So get out there, go shoot, try something different, try something else. I'll see you in the next one.